Ask if I never know. Yeah, if you're gonna leave, I'ma let you go. I'm tired of the pain. Go away.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You got me.
I got you.
You got to turn the mute off, didn't you?
I got you, buddy. I got you. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing good.
How is everybody out there in Facebook world? Welcome to Talking with Demons, our little special episode. We normally don't do them on Sunday, but today is a special day.
It is a special day. I feel like I'm being naughty because we're doing a show on a school night.
And you got to go to school tomorrow.
I have to go to school tomorrow.
How is school going?
Yeah, it's all right.
Are you able to fit the shapes in the right spots now?
I'm getting there. I'm getting faster.
Yeah. So let's say hello to everybody real quick, shall we?
Yeah, let's.
Hello, Paula. Good to see you. How are you doing this evening? Rex, I see you. How are you doing, buddy? Jace, what's going on, bro? I look, I spent 3 hours with this guy last night. 3 hours of listening to his House of Pain show. And I tell you, he has got a great show. I mean, he really does. A lot of great music, a lot of bands I've not even heard of. And I'm just sitting there going through this and get introduced to all kinds of cool bands.
He's got some knowledge, hasn't he? He knows his stuff. I know from when I've had a bit chat with Jason in the chat. He's got some background knowledge on the bands. He's been around a while and knows what he's talking about.
He does. I enjoy his show. He's got one coming up soon, guys. After this show, I think it's 6:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got the Metal Moose Radio that's going to be playing on Inner Demon Radio. So check his show out. You guys are really going to like it. I enjoy it. The hammer works better for shapes. I agree. Just break it.
Well, I'm good with the hammer.
How are you doing, Christina Rose? So we got our special episode. Should we bring our guest on for our special episode?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, let's get straight into it. We have
Johnathan from the owner of Forge. Welcome, John. Let me unmute you first. Gotcha.
Yeah, guys, how you doing? You okay?
I can't complain.
I bet a few people recognise John because we have broadcast his face before on Inner Demon when he's been doing the show Scouser and a Scot, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. Him and Ian.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true. I feel naked tonight without my Scouse mate, to be honest. I also feel inappropriately dressed because I'm not wearing any headwear. You know, you should have warned me, guys, that as part of the show I have to wear headwear. It's just, I just feel like
naked
now.
Yeah, if you're ever feeling naked, all you have to do is jump in the shower, take a couple of dinosaurs with you, you'll be sorted. That's what you do, isn't it, Rick? Yeah, see.
Don't be a dick.
But that's my role in the show.
Well, I mean, true.
Yeah, I have noticed. I have been warned, to be fair, Bob, that is your role. Carly and Nathan said, just watch Bobby's a dick.
They would know. They would know.
A very pushy dickhead.
Yeah, that's right.
Listen, it's a northeast thing, that, mate. It's just how they are.
That's it. We like to pick people up, keep them right, So
I just find fun in it. I just think it's fun picking on people. Okay, so like when I was a kid, all right. So I was raised around a bunch of bikers. So they had like this garage, 2-car garage that they turned into like their bar, their clubhouse, right? And so as I was a kid growing up, I'm around all these bikers, all these biker women, and the drinking and the drugs. So I was around it all the time. So I would be the little kid, like sitting off in the corner of the garage, sitting on his stool, just laughing and making fun of all the drunks falling over, or they want to challenge me a game of pool, and I'm owning them because they're drunk.
Well, you have to learn to take a ribbon and give them, don't you? It's part of life.
It is, right?
Yeah, it certainly is. Survival of the fittest.
So, John, tell everybody what is it that you do, buddy? Like, let's tell everybody a little bit about Forge.
Okay, so Forge Music Group is the actual parent company. So it is the registered company here in the UK, and it's part of there's subdivisions of that. So what we have is Forge AMP. Now, Forge AMP was the original thing that I started as a hobby, which was helping bands manage them, etc. And that started August 2018. So it's the full management side of the business, and we currently work with 32 bands to varying degrees, but we work with 32 bands, and we've also got other people in the Forge AMP team like Nathan and Carly that for sound piling. So they help out. We've got a few other people as well that help out on that side. We also have Forge and Fire Promotions, which is the promotions arm of the Forge Music Group, primarily to create events for our own bands, not necessarily as a traditional promoter. And then we have Forge Ahead Initiative, which you've had Tina on before talking about Forge Ahead Initiative, which is a young band mentoring program that runs from June to June each year, where we take 9-10 bands, young bands, every year. We mentor them and try and help them to get to further up the league tables, if you like. And then subsidiary to that, we've got obviously the Scouts and what you talked about, which is part of the whole picture, and and obviously Hot from the Forge radio show, which we put out as well. So it's all tied in. So everything's to do with grassroots rock and metal scene. And also think anything that's got rock in it, alt rock, country rock, anything that's good music is we work with. And we're primarily in the UK. We have one person that we work with who's outside the UK, and that's a guy from the Ozark Mountains called Dave Rosewood, who's now resides in Sweden. But other than that, we're primarily UK based.
Well, I tell you what, you have an amazing lineup so first of all, we had like a 2-hour conversation last weekend on a Sunday. We talked about various things, and you said, I'm opening the doors, check out as many bands as you want to. We got plenty for you guys to check out. And I spent this past week every day, I was sharing a new band video, but I barely even started to touch the tip of the iceberg as far as the bands and the talent that you guys have at Forge.
Yeah, it's been, literally, I've only been doing it full time since end of April 2020. And it was one of those things, it was first lockdown. I was a self-employed salesman, and I suddenly didn't have a business, and I didn't have a customer base really as such. I couldn't make any money, so I put more time into, rather than doing nothing, I put more time into Forge EMP as it was then. And then the more I put into it, the more I got out of it, the more excited I was. And then Nikki and I, my partner, we decided to have a chat about it. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go for it full time. So that's what we've been doing. And in that time, we had bands that we were working with, but we've also had a lot of bands join us in that last year. And the Forge Ahead initiative was launched as well. And it's humbling, really. Well, it's two things. It's humbling that these awesome bands trust us and believe in us enough to work with us. But the other thing is as well that they are so damn good that
I tell you what, John. I mean, me think I probably got to check out, like thoroughly check out about 5 or 6 bands this week, and I was every band I was absolutely blown away with what they're doing. I mean, honestly, there's some amazing talent on the roster here. Really, honestly.
Oh, I know. It's like I say, I know that the music scene is the bands and the music here in the UK is the best it's ever been in rock, metal, and all parts. And I'm 60-year-old. I know. I've been around. I've seen most of them, and I'm telling you now that it's the best it's ever been. The problem is the scene itself that's supporting it isn't. And that's why we're talking. That's one of the reasons why we're talking here. But my mission is to make sure that these bands and other bands like them are in front of as many people as possible so that everybody can get that same vibe that you got, Sid. And Bob, I know you play them in your radio show. You know already how good they are.
I've worked with a lot of the bands even before I started to do the radio show. I did a review of the albums by Kinstrife. I reviewed Unknown Refuge's album. Fantastic, absolutely quality, and some of the best albums I've heard. It's I could imagine putting a Kinstrife or Unknown Refuge's album on there, and everybody puts an album on. You think, oh, there's a few skippers in there where they're all right, but absolutely track after track quality, really good bands.
It's absolute. If all of these bands have been around 30, 40 years ago, they'd all be living in big mansions and driving Bentleys.
Yeah, they are being the Lamborghinis and Ferraris and sitting out in the jacuzzi waiting for the play their set in Vegas or something.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not saying that's any reflect that the music is old fashioned. It isn't. It's it's of this period. It's just like you say, the market isn't there.
The scene has changed. Yeah, the market's changed. It's nowhere near what it used to be back in the 80s or 90s. I mean, they have festivals now and they have shows, but it seems like, at least for me, I remember going to see a lot of the bands doing arenas or stadiums. And nowadays, 20, 30 years later, these same bands that you went to go see arenas are barely selling out clubs.
But there's the other side of it as well. You get the festivals, the bigger festivals, and in order to sell tickets, they're still having to book the same bands that were 30, 40 years ago. And because in the rock and metal side, because that's what the age group of people that go to see that here in the UK still want to see Iron Maiden and Judas Priest. And I'm not knocking any of those bands. My God, I was one of the first fans of all of these bands. You know what I mean? So I have nothing against them. But I'll tell you a quick story. 2 weeks ago, I'm stood outside the corporation in Sheffield. There's a queue of people, a big queue of people waiting to get into a club night to listen to rock records getting played. And there's some guys at the front, a bit younger than me, with the cut-down jackets on with all the patches on it. I offered to let them in to see Gallows Circus free. The bouncer even said, I'll let you through into the clubhouse free afterwards. And they said, no, we'll just wait in the queue. To which I replied, if the bands that are on your cut-downs had that same response 30, 40 years ago, you wouldn't be wearing their patches just now. I hope you're proud of yourself, guys, and walked away. And that is the sad indictment of how it is just now. And that's what we need to change, guys.
I agree 100%.
I do, yeah. I mean, I know we've been playing these through the week, but I think it'd be good to give everybody a taste, Sid, of what we what we're talking about, the quality of these bands.
I couldn't agree with you even no more, Bob. Actually, I'm really excited you say that, because one of the very first bands that I worked with, almost a year ago, I think it was Blame the Sacred, and this is before me and John and me and Carly become really good friends. And this is one of my very first projects that I ever had done for, actually, unknowingly doing it for Forge, because I really didn't know nothing about Forge at the time. It was just me introducing myself, the band introducing themselves to me and asking me if I would, help. And so this is one of the first videos I've ever done for any of the bands on Forge. So let's do Blame the Sacred, and this song is Hollow Ground. Shall we do that one? And this
Sounds
is
good.
a Forge band, of course, right? An excellent band. I love this band a lot.
I'm sorry, I'll put you first. Please don't stay on the sand.
Thoughts of suicide may feel impossible to overcome, but with help and support, you can find hope and meaning. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to speak to a counselor, or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if it feels like it, you're not alone.
Excellent. You know, it brings back some memories of that, because funny enough, you may know I've been picking a band of the month for Soundpylon for it's actually a year now.
Really?
And it's actually a year, yeah. And Blame the Secrets were one of my band of the months from 2020, and actually became my band of 2020 when we voted on it for at the end of the year. Fantastic band. Six Shots of Hate was the one that really hooked us in, but that's another cracking track. That
I tell you, go on, John. So, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When the guys actually approached me, and because they're from the sort of Doncaster area, at that time, Carly had started working with us. So I asked Carly, because it was obviously in lockdown, etc. So I said, like, can you know, in fact, it was before that. But anyway, it was easier for her to go and meet them. So she went along and she came back and she was absolutely buzzing about them. I think she'd been in the studio or the rehearsal space with them. And she came back, she said, "Oh, John, we need to sign these guys." All right, okay, go for it. And she went, what do you mean? And this is before she'd actually started sort of like working with any specific band. I said, go for it. You can manage them on a day-to-day basis as well. And they love her. They absolutely love her for that. And she sent me some of the tracks across, which were rough demos at the time. And I was like, oh my God.
Right.
Such a powerful sound. Yeah. And then when they did Six Shots, I hate that video with them dragging the axe behind them. I was like, that is so cool. That's really good. Great.
Oh, yes.
Really nice lads as well.
Brilliant. Absolutely. Yeah, anybody who hasn't seen that, definitely go check out that video. Check out the band. Brilliant band. So
they've actually got a new singer now, and I haven't actually seen them with the new singer yet. But according to Carly, it's like it's going really, really well, and the new guys.
We had the band on the show. We had the band on the show about a month or so ago, Bob.
And it might actually be 2 months ago. Yeah, it wasn't long after Joe, because I actually made a right cock up in the middle of the show because Sid had started playing some of the tracks from the new singer. And I was saying, bloody hell, how quick have you managed to make all these? And I hadn't realised that Sid was playing some of the singer's old work.
Like, Bob, that's not even the band.
Yeah, but he was still good, and he's a fantastic singer. You know, I'm really looking forward to hearing some new stuff from them.
I mean, they are. We're putting on a gig in a couple of months' time at the Corporation with them, Unknown Refuge, and a band that isn't ours, but I just love them because they're a local band here in Liverpool called Ash and Reach, and that will be some night. That will be some night of rock, because all three of them are kind of. They're on that heavier genre, but absolutely nail it. They are honest. You know, for all the years I've been listening to that heavy sound. Nowadays, these bands, they just blow my mind. And bearing in mind, I used to be in bands like that time myself in the 80s, and I was like, they just blow my mind because they're just super. They really are.
So what's happening with the scene then at the moment, John? Do you think it's the fact that people haven't got used to going back to clubs and seeing bands that's making it so quiet at the moment and not allowing them to get a full house at some of these gigs, or is it just the complacency? Were you seeing full gigs before COVID came along?
No, it was, the scene was, as we would put it, around this area on its arse before COVID. It really was. There were certain few bands that could sell out anywhere, but the truth of the matter is, it's more or less the same fans that are traveling all over the country to go and see those gigs. So you're not expanding. I mean, people may shoot me down here, but to me, they're not really expanding their audience. And I was hoping that, and there were a lot of venues under threat even then. So I was kind of hoping that it would almost be like when COVID came back, disappeared, and the scene started to come back, it would almost be like
build up like a fire back up in the scene again.
Yeah, and I thought it'd be almost like the reaction that happened in America after the Great Depression in the 1920s, and it would just suddenly go boom again, and But what I'm seeing, it's not that case. The other thing is, you've got to say is as well that the age group of people that go to live rock and metal and here in the UK are my age, generally speaking. And we're the ones that are probably most easy to get out of habit of doing things. And also there's a fear sometimes with some of them about being close to people. They've almost become reclusive. So there is an element of that, but it's across the board. I was talking to one of the venues last night, and they were saying even for their club nights they were way down in numbers. And I'll give you an example. Last weekend there were very few people there because they were all going to Bloodstock this weekend, and they didn't want. So there's two things: there's the financial side of it, not wanting to spend money, but the other thing is as well, they don't want to go and then potentially get pinged on the app and then have to self-isolate and then miss out on the festival. So there's a lot of competition just now. There's too many buckets all trying to get into the same well, and by buckets I mean venues and gigs at the same time, and there's the well's only crowds that size, and there's too many people trying to attract them. So I don't think it is. It's not. We're not seeing it taking off, and I think that's why me and a few others that we're talking to just now, we're looking at really putting a light under it. And you guys will play a part in that, and that's what we're going to talk about.
Speaking of that, why don't we just lead into that? We've been talking about a special episode. What makes this episode so special?
Well, it's because we've decided that, obviously we're trying to combine the services of Inner Demon and Forge together, aren't we? Because, Inner Demon, we don't represent bands in as far as management or booking gigs or something like that. We aim more to be a media company and get the bands heard that way. So we work more closely with Forge, and in the week since we had the conversation about doing this show and what we could do, we've already lined up a number of Forge bands over the next couple of months that we're going to be coming on to Into the Fire. The first one of which was actually last night, Black Tree Vultures, another Forge band, and what a cracking set of lads.
I tell you, that was a fun show.
I tell you, they played live on the Friday night for us down in Chesterfield, and they've got a new bassist, new singers. I'm sure they spoke about last night, and I'm not kidding you. I was headbanging. Now, bear in mind, I'm there as a promoter. I'm not kidding. I thought I was needing a neck brace and Saturday. They were, oh God, they were huge. It sounded amazing. I couldn't take my eyes off them. I'm not kidding you. They blew my mind. That's how good they were. But yeah. I mean, the thing with it is we talked last Sunday, a week ago, during the day, and Carly had always been talking to me about you guys, and I kept an eye on what you were doing. I know you were being super supportive of our bands, etc. So once we talked to, what I look for is, I look for people that I think have got the heart in it, the same as I have. It's not about making money. It's not about ripping back. It's certainly not about living off bands' dreams, and there's too many people do that. So, and I like natural disruptors. I like people that don't just go,
we definitely disrupt.
And that's what we want. That's what we want. We need to blue sky think. If we keep the problem with, I listened to a podcast a few months ago by a guy called Brad Marr from Massive, an Australian band, and he was saying in it, and it made me think, because he's a smart guy, he knows his stuff. He's his own touring company as well. So he said, the problem is that rock and metal keep wanting to do the same thing they've always done, and then hope the rest of the world changes what they do to meet it, and they'll follow along. And it doesn't happen. My 15-year-old daughter isn't interested in the things I'm interested in. And why would we? When you were 15, 16, 17, did you like, even if your mum and dad were listening to heavy metal, were you likely to listen to it just because they were? No, not necessarily. Everything's changed, and it's guys like you that need to work with guys like me and other like-minded people to do things differently. If the mountain won't come to Muhammad, then Muhammad has to go to the mountain. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. We need to go to them. and we need to present it to them in a way that they enjoy. And I think that's you guys. It's part of the bigger picture. I think that you've got something fresh. I think you've got I know you've got passion for it. Another good thing is you can spot damn good bands, which is always good.
Well, like Bob said, I think we got ourselves booked up for the next 2.5, 3 months. I think we got ourselves all the way booked up at least to the end of October on shows just for Saturday shows alone. And if it's any indication of what we've already had on the previous shows, like with Bad Actress, and we just had Black Tree Vultures on last night. I mean, these are, the bands make it easy.
They do.
They make it easy to do these shows, but they're open to the idea of let's not do something conventional. We like the organic, whatever conversation comes up. I'm excited because we got almost 3 months worth of bands, Bob, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
It is. But what John pointed out there is bang on right, because we know that we all people of an age, and when I was getting into metal and rock music, I guess the metal scene was only just starting to develop and grow, and so it was something new that was out there, and people were excited, and that's where it brought the crowds in. I guess new isn't a term you can put onto the music scene as far as metal's concerned now. So you've got to find those people who are still interested in the young ones who haven't had the opportunity to hear it because mainstream radio doesn't play it, and they're missing some fantastic stuff. I mean, I see bands get mentioned now on TV or on the radio if my wife's left it on in the car, because I don't listen to mainstream radio generally. And they'll mention a band, and I think, I've never heard of them, because I just don't listen to it, because I listen to all what people like to term as underground, but it shouldn't be underground. It should be out there, because it's good quality stuff.
I agree, Bob.
It's only underground because not enough people have been made aware of it. I was 12 years old the first time I walked into my cousin's house, and he was 17, and he bought a stereo. And that was the first stereo I'd ever seen. And he put it on, and he was playing The Who. And then he followed it up by an album by, I think it was Black Sabbath, then Led Zeppelin, and that was me. I was gone. I went home and I was like a different person. But where the kids see that now? Where the young people see that now? Where do they hear it? I grew up watching Top of the Pops and seeing occasionally rock bands on there and going, that first thing I saw Roger Daltrey stood on the stage spinning his microphone around and singing Won't Get Fooled Again. I was like, that's what I want. I want to be like him. Unfortunately, I failed, but but I tell you what, a bloody good time trying in the 80s. But what I mean? It was, and then the use of the old grey whistle test, Bob, the tube in the 80s with MTV. Where the hell does any young person now see or hear rock? Checking that we're talking to you from Bad Actress, they got into it because their dad was playing them AC/DC and I think it was the Doors, and it gelled with them. But we can't rely on somebody's dad, because there's a generation now between me and them. Between them, if they weren't exposed to rock, then the kids aren't being. It's as simple as that. So that's why you guys have to play a huge part in what we're doing, and other management companies and other people need to get their asses together and stop thinking, old ways, think new ways, think innovation, and bloody
think
do something
outside that box.
Yeah. Throw the ball away and pretend it never even existed.
It never was even there.
Too right.
Well, I tell you one of the things, Bob, that one of the bands, we're going to play another video. I didn't mean to interrupt you, Bob, but I figure we'll give everybody another video. Another band from Forge. Now, what I like about what they're doing here at Forge is what really impressed me this week. I told John when we talked last week, I'm going to kind of kick back and evaluate some of the music and see what's out there through Forge. And one of the first bands that I played and I just absolutely fell in love with was a band called Flatland Kings. And what I like even more about what Forge is doing, real country never dies. What's really cool about what Forge is doing, it's not just a place just for one genre of music. They're throwing at you different genres. That's about the music, getting people's voices heard. It's about the talent. It's not about a genre. It's not about whether you're a hard rock band or you're a country band or you're a pop band. It's about the music and what that music gives and what that music offers to other people. And when I heard Flatland Kings and the song I'm going to play is Family Table, I was actually just blown away.
That's great timing, Sid, because what you interrupted me saying was, let's play another track.
All right, so here we go then. This is Flatland Kings, and this is their song, Family Table. We'll be right back, everybody.
But we escape beyond the toll, where all is forgiven. It's a place we call home, bound together forever. Pull up a chair, listen close, memories to remember. The way happiness rolls, and we live, we laugh, we smile. So come on in and stay a while at the family table. Together we are at the family table. Nothing will tear us apart here at this table. With love in our hearts, we're looking out for each other when we struggle to recover. We're grateful. Oh, at the family table. Times past and present, we reminisce through them all. Pictures of adolescence hanging there on the wall. And we raise a glass to the ones who's past and the ones we won't forget. Time don't turn back, so in time we have, make sure it's time well spent. Can we live, we laugh, we smile. So come on in and stay a while. Hit the family table. Together we are at the family table. But nothing will tear us apart here at this table. With love in our hearts, we're looking out for each other when we struggle to recover. We're grateful. Oh, at the family table.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. That's the first time I've heard that track.
Really?
Yeah, first time. I've been waiting for it to crop up. And I was going to play Flatland Kings this week on the show. They're not on the show this week. They're going to be on the next one because they've actually got a new release coming out on the 20th of August, I believe, called These Are the Days.
Another fantastic song. I don't care who you are. I don't care what kind of music you listen to. That shit right there that we just played right there was off the fucking hook. I mean, it really was. The vocals, the band, everything about it it makes you feel good.
First time listening. Brilliant.
Yeah. And I think you shared it last week was the one where I think they're either in the back garden or they're in the living room, and it's just them, just doing it acoustically. And they can do it anywhere. It's, like if you go on YouTube, you'll see them do it. They do it quite a few times. It's quite interesting because I sort of noticed them on social media before they ever released a track. They hadn't released a track, and I think the first one they did was they just kept saying they were coming and there was things in the pipe. And I was like, the name attracted me initially, and I liked the way they put themselves about. And then I think the first thing they put out on social media was their version of Chris Rea's Going Home for Christmas. Just at Christmas, and I was like, wow, they're good. And then they brought out the first ever song, and I was like, oh my god, how good are they? But we'd never had talks, and I was a fan, and I think I just basically stalked them for a year, and loving all their stuff. And
you're one of those guys, huh? I did the same.
Yeah. Only with Flatland Kings. Yeah, but it was one of these things, and then all of a sudden, I so wanted to work with them, but I didn't ask them. Because I like bands to come to that conclusion themselves if they're going to. I'm not pushy. I don't like, if people see what we do and like what we do and they approach me and everything gels. And Steph, one of the guys in the band, sort of like messaged me, says, hey, mate, could we talk to you? And I was like, I've been waiting for this for a year. Literally waiting for a year. And it came along and I was like, because I absolutely love them. And then my other half has just commented on below, Nikki, and she said about how much she loves them. It's always on her stereo, honestly. And it's
how can you not like what they're doing? I mean, it's hard it's hard to hate it.
And I mean, even that song "Family Table," if I'm right, I think the kids singing at the end are actually some of their kids. I think it's Steph's kids. And all that.
Excellent. I think it's amazing stuff. Amazing work. I like the wide range of talent that you have on that you are working with. I mean, you really got just from rock, hard rock, classic rock to country. I mean, I was going through some of the bands and I was like, man, this is really just a one-stop shop for everything that you want to listen to, really.
In my mind, there's only three types of music: good, bad, and jazz. And I hate jazz with a passion. I've always hated jazz. I blamed Cleo Lane and Johnny Dankworth when I was a teenager, but it sounds to like half a dozen people competing with each other in similar songs. It's just not for me. But as far as music's concerned, I go for things that I like. And if I hear a band or a band contacts me or a band says, even from a radio show, I will listen to it. And I'll hear the music to start with, and I'll be like, I'm either into it or I'm not. And then I'm dreading the vocalist singing, because if I really like the music and the singer comes on, I think, oh my God, that's terrible. Because as an ex-singer, not that I was a great singer, but it's my passion. And when I hear singers come on and I go, oh, they could sing the phone book to me and I'd love them. And that's how it is. That's how it is.
Sorry, John, did you say you were a singer in a band, yeah?
Yeah, during the late 70s and all the way through the 80s, I sang with different bands up in Scotland.
Do we need to give you your chance to make your big break here now?
Sorry?
Do a bit about the colour?
No chance, mate. We might do it. We might do it another time. We'll need to talk money first.
Do we need to get some whiskey out? They did warn you, I'm a dick.
It was quite funny. A couple of weeks ago, again at the Corporation Gallows Circus, we're sound checking. Now I knew Ian, the singer, had ear monitors in, so they were doing a song to sound check, and they finished, and I was just stood at the back of the room, and as it finished and they all stopped, I just carried on singing, and you could literally see everybody else that was there kind of looking at Ian, and Ian's lips weren't moving. So Ian's a fantastic singer, and if they thought for 1 second it was him, even briefly, then I'm happy with that. I'll retire right there.
And just as you speak, he pops up in chat, Ian from King Voodoo.
So I can relate to you, John, because as you was with Flatland Kings, you was kind of like a fan, and like you were just like waiting for that moment to be able to start working with them. I was actually the same way with King Voodoo. When I heard their song "Raise Your Hands" on the Sound Pie line, I was like, "Oh my, this shit is fucking amazing!" But not here. What, a month, 2 months later, we become friends, and I'm just a big fan of the music, and I think that's the most important thing. Is you got, like you said, you got to have a passion for it, and if it's something that you like, that's where it comes from. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, you have to have a reason to work. I mean, I've turned down working with some really great bands either because I didn't think I was we were a good fit for them, or they were in a genre that I know nothing about. So not every band that I've turned down has been because they've been bad. It's just because we're not a good fit for them. But King Voodoo, Ian, just out of the blue, sent me some demo songs before the first EP came out, and he sent me some demo songs. And they were rough demos, but I could hear it straight away, something special.
Yeah.
And they were one of the first bands that I signed up when we went full time for obvious reasons. They are superb, and Ian's a good mate anyway. But that's beyond that. If they were crap, and they've got even better. And the new stuff that's coming out is strong. I mean, the first stuff was great; it was awesome. But this stuff that's coming out now is better and better. And live, they are a real force. Live, they really are.
All this King Voodoo talk. Why don't we play a King Voodoo video?
Oh, I think we'll have to. I mean, I've had King Voodoo all week because I work about 2 hours away from where I live, and I drive twice a week to the factory. And this week I actually put King Voodoo's EP in, and you can imagine on a 2-hour drive, and I can't get to the disc. I must have listened to it continued for about like 5 times through. Their track Creep, it just brilliant. Really love it. But yeah, I know which one you played, Sid. Let's have it.
Well, you already know which one I'm going to play. It's their latest release that just came out. This is Drag Me to the Water.
Are you going to do your King Voodoo hands?
What's that, Bob?
Are you going to do your, what do you call it, do the Sid?
How am I going to do that?
Get your hands up in there.
Oh, I mean, I could do it behind the camera, I guess. You guys don't have to see that. But yeah, this is the King Voodoo video that I made for them. That this song just came out. Be sure to go to their Facebook page, like what they're doing, like, share. But this is King Voodoo with "Drag Me to the Water." We'll be right back, guys.
Quality.
That just made my nipples hard.
What again?
It never stops every time I see that video.
Yeah, it reminded me of a good night out in Glasgow and back in the 1980s, mate. That video. But for those that haven't heard King Voodoo before, that's what they're like in live. They are amazing. They really are cool. And I'm not just saying that because Ian's watching, because I say it to anybody. Do you know what? What's cool about this is it's the first show I've done like this where you've sort of interspersed our music, our bands on it. And I'm sat here, I'm honest to God, I'm grinning like hell watching it, every one of them. And that is the buzz of what we do. That is the buzz. When I get up every morning and I look at my next list of things that I have to do, that's what it's all about. It's absolutely brilliant. You know, and I buzz because you guys are loving it. Because if you guys are loving it, then I'm doing my job and the bands are doing their job and getting it in front of the right people. And that's what we're going to do, working together to make sure it gets out to a bigger and wider crowd.
A lot of these bands, this is me speaking from the heart, inspire me. Listening to some of these songs and hearing some of these. King Voodoo, when they said, "Hey, will you make this video for Drag Me to the Water?" that inspired me. I mean, listening to the song and all these bands like Flatland Kings, that when I heard their song, it made me inspired me. It's like, man, there's some really amazing talent out there, and to being able to be in a position that we are in, to be able to share these bands and do the things that we do for these bands, we are very, very blessed to be able to have these opportunities to be able to share this music out for everybody. And that's really why we're all here at the end of the day, is just get the music out. And I am super excited about our working together with Forge, Interdemon Media, for the next 3 months at the very least. We're going to bring you guys a new band every Saturday coming from Forge. We have Flatland Kings are coming on September 11th. And then next week, we have Trouble Country coming on next Saturday. And they actually just premiered a new song this week too as well. And I have the video for that. So when we say goodbye, I'm going to play everybody out to that new video by them guys.
They're super cool, Trouble County, because they're a free piece, but the sound that they create live for a free piece is absolutely out of the world. They're kind of difficult sometimes because people tend to love to put bands in genres, and they have a bit of everything in them. They're rocky, they're blues, there's grunge in there. And you know, they suffer a little bit because people want to fit them in a box that they don't fit in. They fit in one box, people. Go check them out. They fit in one box, and that's damn good music.
That's it.
I would agree with that, because I'm actually my radio show's playing out tomorrow night, and I do this little feature called the Spotlight, where instead of playing one track, I play two by the same band, just so that people get a better feel for the band as a whole, you know, because everybody can listen to one track and think that's great. Listen to two and you think, oh, you know, there's something there in this band. I really like them. Tomorrow night, it is actually Trouble County that's going to be the Spotlight, and I've got two tracks by them, which I think both have a different feel. You know, a really good band.
The three guys have different tastes in music to a degree, I believe, and it comes out and it melds together to create a sound that is just Trouble County. But I'll tell you right now, anybody that sees them live will become a fan. That's a fact. It's a simple fact. So go check them out, because I think they're super cool. They really are, and they're funny guys as well. When you interview them, they've got some weird sense of humor going on. You'll love it. Yeah, they are great. They're really cool. If you just ask, I don't know if she's still got it, but Carly and Nathan did an interview with them on Soundpile when they used to do that. And one of the things was that they had a set where the band that was interviewed the week before would set questions for the next week. And I'm sure it was King Voodoo that set the questions for them. I think that's right. It was either them or it was Sourtusk. And the questions that get set, I thought were risky as hell. But the answers from the guys in Trouble County were even worse. It was, honestly, God, they had to stop doing it. They got X-rated if they kept going on.
Yeah, we don't put rates on anything. We have this thing that we like to flash up called parental guidance. And we think that lets us get away with anything.
we like to hope to think that way at least.
And the other thing that you're not saying, guys, is that when you're envisaging the parents, you're also thinking of the worst parents in the world.
So when you think, sorry, Sid,
No, go ahead, Bob.
I was just going to say, so, I mean, obviously, I see we get a lot of submissions. And one of the things that gets me is we'll get submissions where people are sending like links to Spotify rather than tracks that we can actually play, like an MP3 or something like that. And it kind of bugs me a little bit. I understand why they want Spotify and they get sort of little bits of royalty out of them, but I'm sure I read recently that even some major acts were having to be released from contracts with some of the major labels, and the terms, because they were never recovering the money that the labels were putting against them for the recording of their albums. So how do we get it to a point where it's actually viable for some of these bands and for people like yourself to support them? Is it just a matter of thinking that the money is going to come from the gigs? Because I'm guessing that streaming's never going to provide it nowadays. So
wait a second, Bob. Let's not be old-fashioned here. Let's take that back. Sure, the money is to be made doing live gigs, but as he said, it's the live shows have gone down in the past few years. So it's up to people like us, myself, you, Bob, John, to invent ways to make, let's say, online streaming concerts a thing for these bands. I mean, being across the other side of the world, hypothetically, a lot of these bands are not going to be seen in the major markets like here in America. And one ways to make those kind of dreams like that happen is throwing these online concerts like we've talked about in the past, about doing something like a Demon Fest, where we're showing bands live. I mean, I think it's the way of the future.
I think this is part of the disruption thing that I'm talking about, and there's a few of us now talking about all sorts of different things, which you guys will definitely be involved in as well, for the very reasons that you're talking about. But to go back, when I first started, Spotify to me was the enemy. But if you're in a band in Doncaster or Liverpool, or where's somebody in America going to hear you? They're not going to hear you because you can't tour, because you're not big enough to tour. So the way it really needs to work, Spotify does what it does, but it's no different really, I don't think, to back in the day, because it used to be the record companies used to have 81% of everything, and the other 19% had to pay for the band and everything bloody else. When I read Lemmy's autobiography, and he actually said in White Line Fever, I think it was, and he actually said on it, he made more money for the 4 or 5 songs he wrote for Ozzy Osbourne than he ever did anything that was ever recorded and put out by Motorhead, because of the way the deal was set up with management and record companies. So this myth that Spotify and that, they've just replaced the record companies in a lot in the old days. So what I tend to do is I tend to look at Spotify and YouTube, and I listen to music on there. So here's the trick is, if anybody's watching this, they want to know how to support bands, it's use Spotify and all that to find bands. But once you find them and you love them, then buy their CDs or buy their downloads or buy their merchandise, because quite frankly, nobody now is going to make money. And there's big bands like, I can't remember if it's Bruce Springsteen or somebody said he's never made money out of recordings, that it's always been touring. It's selling merch, buy the CDs, buy the albums. Even if you don't have a record player like me, I've bought albums and they stick them up on the wall. It's the only way bands are going to keep getting money and growing. But you're right, Sid. We're going to have to do this thing, which as well as pay to hear bands, online concerts, whatever it takes. It has to be an amalgam of everything. We need to adapt and overcome, because like I said before, young people aren't going to come to gigs unless we give them a reason to, and that's by letting them see it. And if they can see it on platforms and they get a vibe for it and they get a feel for it, because we'll watch sports on TV, but it's not the same as being there. But what gets us excited in the first place is seeing it. Sorry, I'm coughing here.
No, you're definitely right. I mean, I know at one point I did actually have a comment when I was in a group before where there was one guy came at us saying one of the benefits for him for Spotify is he can't afford to go out and buy lots of records. So it gives him access to lots of music where he can explore and get into that. And it's great. I'm not knocking that. We've taken out these streaming services, but it would be nice if they got a little bit more, wouldn't it? Really, a little bit more of the cut.
But the thing with them is they don't care.
Yeah,
they're just out to make money out of everybody, and they've created a platform that allows any band or any musician anywhere to potentially reach anybody else in the world that's got an ability to get online, and that's powerful, and they know it. And I know when the guy last year from Spotify came out and said the bands aren't making money because they're not bringing out enough new stuff. They should be releasing something new every month. And my initial response was, "You greedy bastard! You know, that's just you wanting it." But when I thought about it more, younger end people now, their attention span is so much shorter, and so everything's got a shorter shelf life.
Yep.
And it really will take almost a release every month on Spotify and the set to keep you in their forefront of their mind, because you're yesterday, you know, as we always used to say, today's newspapers, tomorrow's chip paper in Britain, you know, and it is like that with music and a lot of things. And it's the same with albums. You know, when our bands come out, and if they're not a big band, they're not well known, and they want to create an album, I'm like, why are you bringing an album out? Who's going to buy it? Who's going to listen to it? You better bring out a couple of singles, 3 singles, put it out on radio, release an EP, because the chances are people will buy an EP with 5 tracks on it when they've already heard 3 of them and liked them, than buy an album. Until you get to the stage where actually there's a market for it, because an album nowadays, to anybody under the age of 30, isn't an album, it's a playlist. It's a list of songs that they like, and they'll put the songs on there they like. Now, whilst we come from a generation where it was all about buying that album and reading the covers and getting right into it, that isn't the way it is, and the people like us are dying out. And people like us keep doing what we do and keep supporting the bands by buying albums, CDs, etc. But there's a whole huge world out there that will never do that. And we need to be understanding that, and we need to do something that's going to hook them in. And that's by doing it their way, you know? It's as simple as that, Bob. You know, it's we can either try and fight it, but we'll never win, because the people that's at the top of it have a shit ton more money than us.
Well, that's true. So, are we going out with Trouble County tonight then?
Yeah, Bob. I think we'll end tonight's show with Trouble Country with their song, video and song "Awake." John, I thank you for coming on here and hanging out with me. I know you had a busy weekend, and this was kind of like a day of relaxing. So hopping on here and hanging out with us for this hour, I appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to the future, what things we're going to be doing here with you guys. I'm really excited. It's been a while since I've had that inspiration kind of feeling that I get, and I just want to say thank you, and I'm really looking forward to the things that we got coming up in the near future.
Well, from my perspective, guys, it's just good to find like-minded people like yourselves that are willing to do it. And if you think about it, like, you've spent a week looking at our bands, we've got a shit ton more of them, and more to the point, looking outside at us, you know, I'm not being insular, looking outside at us, I am telling you, there are literally, in the UK alone, I could take you to 200 rock genre metal bands that would blow anybody else in the world's minds if they heard them. And that's our job. So my job is to work with our bands, but I also think that, you know, if there's anybody else watching this that wants to get a piece of the action and working with Inner Demon Media, etc., this is the way to do it, guys. Or if you want to replicate it yourselves and do other things, that's up to you. But whatever we need to do, we need to kick the ass at this, and we need to make sure that everybody gets to hear our music.
I agree with you, and that's what we're planning on doing. So be prepared, everybody who is tuning in. We are, like I said, we're partnering up with Ford, so a lot of cool things are going to be happening in the near future, and we're going to be, like I said, every Saturday we're going to be having, from this point on, a band coming from Ford's featured on Into the Fire. So a lot of cool stuff. Be looking out throughout the week as well, because I'll be sharing music videos of some of these bands. So it's all about getting the music out, and without you guys watching this show, or you guys, the ones that follow everything that we do through Inner Demon Records and Intermedia, you guys are making these things possible by going out there, liking these pages, sharing their stuff out, going and purchasing their digital downloads, or buying physical copies or just like earlier we seen earlier with our friend of Inner Demon Media, Taryn, and she does a show called Paranormal Brew, and she went out and supported King Voodoo by buying a T-shirt. So it's things like that is what we're trying to do. And I'm just excited for the future. Once again, John, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. And we are going to end tonight's show with Triple Country, and this song's Awake. We'll see you guys next Friday.
Thanks,
See you later,
John.
guys. Thank you.
No one loves me more than I do. No one praises me more than you do. No one opposes me more than I do. No one praises me more than you do. And down to death with you. Now it's time to raise up from the flames, apologize and make up once again. I don't see another way out from this pain. I lie awake once again. Someone loves me more than I do. Someone praises me more than you do. Someone